Hi, I'm Joe Panton, and this is my answer to evaluation question 2, which I've answered on a PowerPoint presentation. How effective is the combination of your main product and your ancillary texts? During my research of Digipak's music videos and magazine adverts, I found that there are usually quite noticeable synergies across all of those products when they're promoting one album. So, for example, and this is shown below, the same image which is used on Ollie Murs' Digipack and album cover is also used on his promotional magazine advert, and that outfit he's wearing is also used in his music video for Troublemaker. This is just one example that I found, but there were hundreds of, maybe thousands. But why does it happen? Promotion is far superior when your elements are consistent and reference one another. So you have to have a brand identity and a style for your products when you're releasing it to consumers, so that they sort of recognise each one and they stick in the audience's minds more effectively when you do this than when they're all in different styles. It also leads to easier recognition of your product. So if a consumer reads a magazine and sees your advert, and then they see your digipack, they won't recognise the product and might not buy it if they're both in completely different styles. We see this in effect with loads of industries around the world, with logos and mottos and colours, even unique selling points. They're usually enforced across all products within an organisation. So as you can see there's the Apple example of iPhones and iPads being recognised by the Touch ID, the Apple logo, and the minimalist hardware and software design. So what did I do for synergy? There's my music video, although you can't play it. That's my Digipack front cover, the inside slides, and the back cover. And there's my magazine advert. As you can see, there's unfortunately very little connection between my music video and my Digipack design and my advert, past the subtle use of the colour green as the overflowing liquid, but I doubt that you would notice that. And that links to the greenery of the forest in my music video. You could to an extent argue that the skeleton makeup displays some of the same abstract feel as the artwork on the Digipack and advert, but it's not nearly enough to establish a recognisable brand. There's not much synergy there. This is a weakness because it means that audiences who see the music video will not instantly recognise the Digipack or advert as being related to the video. My brand style isn't as strong. Normally this would be quite a bad failure on my part to create an effective synergy between the music video and the other products, but I'd argue that Retrograde isn't the headline single of the album and Overgrown is instead. You can look at examples and you'll find that not all music videos in the album need to relate directly to promotional material. If I was making a video for every single on the album, Overgrown would be the one that has that link towards the album cover, if I was to do that. As still imagery, especially abstract, and moving image productions are so vastly different, it also could have put me at a disadvantage if I'd limited myself to catering towards one or the other with all of my productions. By not catering to the music video or ancillary tasks around one another too closely beyond their meanings, it allowed me to really expand my creative vision in terms of what I could create. Nonetheless, in the future I would definitely go about creating more of a link within the video to the ancillary tasks. Major names in the music industry such as Kanye West, which is shown below that album cover, are sometimes able to get away with having little chemistry between their videos and other promotional work. Their brands are already strong enough to make a big impact in the industry. Lesser known artists like James Blake might have to rely on audiences recognising their albums and products from music videos online. With my production, that just wouldn't happen. Although the combination between my video and ancillary tasks is a mostly ineffective one, there is definitely a strong synergy in style between my magazine advert and my digipack, and I'd argue that that's quite an effective one. I kept mostly the same colour schemes across both pieces, but swapped the way that they're used. The light grey background on my digipack formed the text and imagery colours in my magazine advert, while the darker grey colour in my digipack now formed the background for the magazine advert. This creates a recognisable colour scheme, just like Google's use of red, blue, green and yellow is recognised all over the world. This is one of the reasons why the combination is so effective. Consumers will recognise those colours. As you can see, the core imagery of liquid dropping down from James Blake into a bowl or barrel, which then overflows, is seen on both, though with slight differences in detail and colours. This was supposed to be a metaphor to show the tone of the album. James Blake himself mentioned how he couldn't hide being influenced a lot about a breakup that he'd gone through, and Retrograde definitely displays it in its lyrics. The idea of being left alone and thereafter being unable to stay strong and degrading away is, in my interpretation, one of Retrograde's central themes. You can see that's the quote from the Retrograde song. That's where the metaphor from the melting James Blake text comes from. He then metaphorically tries to capture himself and keep it together by placing the barrel or bowl under the name, but it overflows and some spills out. This is supposed to show that he's struggling on not letting the hurdle fall on his life. This makes my combination effective because it becomes a key symbol, almost a logo for the album. It's a simple but quite memorable design. Then I continued the abstract shapes design across both products. This is shown below. Here is another attempt at creating a metaphor which originated with my digipack. Having already created an abstract front cover design, I decided to be consistent and continue this onto my inside covers too. The result was a canvas of different shapes randomly drawn across the page, with differing shadow effects and gradients on each to give the stark impression of depth against the light cream background. The dripping liquid leaking from the barrel continues onto the inside covers here, and each shape it touches changes to a different gradient. This is supposed to give the connotation of electronic flow so that it blends into the electronic genres more. The metaphor is that the shapes littered on the canvas represent mixed, disorganised emotions, the way that they're randomly spewed out. It's supposed to be a mess of confused feelings. Since I found, with some audience feedback, that the shapes and shadows were aesthetically pleasing in the digipack, I tried to replicate the idea to some extent in my magazine advert. I used the same shapes and shadowed and scattered them across the edges of the advert to create a similar stark, memorable effect, which I found was missing when the shapes were absent on the right. This created a further effective combination between the two ancillary tasks, both showing the same recognisable metaphorical imagery. It would mean that someone who sees the magazine advert will be more likely to notice the digipack in a store or online. It further spreads the brand by giving it a face. However, if I wanted to create more synergy across all three products, it could have been better to use realistic imagery. Probably using one of the pictures that I'd taken from filming. If I'd used the one below, for example, fans who had seen the music video would instantly recognise the digipack and magazine advert. This would create a more effective combination, but it wasn't a design that I liked or was passionate about. Thank you.